Let's just get it out there. It's one of the most whispered, Googled, and nervously joked about questions in human sexuality. Does size really matter? This question isn't just for men. It's a topic that floats around in locker rooms, private conversations, and late-night internet forums, involving people of all genders and sexualities. It's a question loaded with centuries of cultural baggage, personal insecurities, and a whole lot of misinformation. We're going to unpack that baggage together, because understanding why we care so much is the first step toward freeing ourselves from the anxiety it so often creates. What if the answer isn't a simple yes or no? The obsession with penis size is a deeply ingrained part of our collective consciousness. From ancient art to modern pornography, the phallus has been symbolized as a beacon of power, virility, and masculinity. This isn't a new phenomenon, it's a historical thread woven through our culture. But in today's world, the pressure feels more intense than ever. The constant exposure to unrealistic standards creates a silent comparison game that many men feel they are losing before they even start. This isn't just a trivial concern. For many, it becomes a significant source of psychological distress, impacting how they see themselves and how they connect with others. So, why does this topic hold so much power over us? It taps into our most fundamental desires: to be desired, to be adequate, and to feel confident in our own skin. When society links a man's worth to a specific physical attribute, it creates a very narrow and often unattainable standard of masculinity. This can lead to what is commonly known as small penis anxiety, a condition that affects men of all shapes and sizes, even those who fall well within the statistical average. The anxiety isn't really about the physical measurement, it's about the fear of not measuring up to an imagined ideal. In this exploration, we're not just going to talk about inches or statistics. We're going to dive into the psychology of it all. We will look at how these beliefs are formed, the real-world impact they have on men's mental health and their relationships, and most importantly, how we can challenge these old ideas. It's time to move beyond the ruler and start a healthier, more honest conversation about bodies, pleasure, and what truly makes a sexual experience fulfilling and connecting for everyone involved. Are you ready to question what you've been taught to believe? Our beliefs about size don't just appear out of thin air. They are carefully constructed brick by the culture we live in. Think about it. Where did you first learn that size was something to be concerned about? For many, it starts with media. Movies often use size as a punchline for jokes, a shorthand for a character's manliness or lack thereof. And then there's the adult entertainment industry, which presents a version of reality that is heavily skewed and completely unrepresentative of the general population. This constant barrage of curated images sets an impossibly high bar, creating a distorted view of what is normal. These cultural messages are powerful because they are everywhere and they are relentless. They seep into our subconscious, shaping our expectations of ourselves and our partners. The idea that a larger penis equates to more pleasure, more power, and more desirability is a myth that has been sold to us for generations. It's a simple, easy-to-digest narrative, but it's a harmful one. It reduces the complex, beautiful act of sex to a single, mechanical variable. It ignores communication, emotional connection, creativity, and the thousands of other ways partners can bring each other pleasure. This societal pressure doesn't just affect men, it shapes the expectations of their partners as well, creating a cycle of anxiety. When the culture constantly screams that bigger is better, it can lead people of all genders to believe it, even if their own personal experience tells them otherwise. We start to internalize these external messages, letting them override our own truths. We become spectators in our own sex lives, judging performances based on a cultural script, instead of being present in the moment, and focusing on genuine connection and mutual satisfaction. So, the first step in dismantling this anxiety is to recognize where it comes from. It's not an inherent truth, it's a learned belief. It's a product of marketing, media portrayals, and outdated ideas about what it means to be a man. By seeing these influences for what they are, constructs, not facts, we can begin to take back our power. We can start to question the narrative instead of blindly accepting it. What if we decided to create our own definitions of what makes a body desirable and what makes sex great? The psychological toll of penis size anxiety is profound and can cast a long shadow over a man's life. It isn't just a fleeting worry. For many, it becomes a persistent internal critic that whispers words of inadequacy. This can lead to a significant blow to self-esteem, making a man feel less than not just in the bedroom, but in all areas of his life. This feeling of not measuring up can manifest as social withdrawal, depression, and a general lack of confidence. It's a heavy weight to carry, and because of the stigma around the topic, many men carry it in silence, feeling completely alone in their struggle. This anxiety directly impacts intimacy and relationships. A man preoccupied with his size is often not fully present during sex. Instead of focusing on his partner and the shared experience, his mind is racing with worries. Am I good enough? Is my partner enjoying this? Am I a disappointment? This self-monitoring, often called spectatoring, kills spontaneity and connection. It can lead to erectile difficulties not because of a physical issue, but because the psychological pressure becomes too overwhelming. The fear of failure becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating a vicious cycle of anxiety and performance issues. Furthermore, this insecurity can cause men to avoid intimacy altogether. The fear of being judged or rejected can be so strong that they may shy away from dating or sabotage relationships before they become physically intimate. They might create distance as a defense mechanism to protect themselves from potential shame. This avoidance robs them of the opportunity for connection, love, and the very pleasure they are so worried about providing. It's a tragic paradox where the fear of being inadequate prevents them from experiencing the connection that could prove that fear wrong. It is crucial to understand that these feelings are real and valid, even if they are based on a flawed premise. Dismissing a man's anxiety by simply saying size doesn't matter can feel invalidating. The pain is real. The solution isn't to ignore the feeling, but to challenge the belief that's causing it. It requires empathy and an open dialogue. For partners, it means offering reassurance not just with words, but through actions that celebrate the whole person and the entire spectrum of sexual expression, moving the focus away from one single body part and toward a holistic sense of intimacy. Let's ground ourselves in some facts because knowledge is a powerful antidote to anxiety. Research consistently shows that the vast majority of men have a penis size that falls within the average range, which is roughly 5 to 5.5 inches when erect. The perception gap is huge. Most men who worry about being too small are actually average. More importantly, when women and other partners are surveyed about sexual satisfaction, penis size consistently ranks low on the list of important factors. Qualities like emotional intimacy, attentiveness, communication, and a partner's skill and enthusiasm are rated far higher. The myth is simply not supported by data. So, how do we build confidence from within? The first step is radical self-acceptance. Your body is your body. It is not a project to be fixed or an object to be compared. Start by appreciating your body for what it can do and the pleasure it can feel, rather than focusing on its perceived flaws. Practice mindfulness both in and out of the bedroom. When you are with a partner, focus your attention on the sensations you are feeling and the connection you are sharing. Pull your mind away from the anxious internal chatter and bring it back to the present moment. True confidence comes not from being perfect, but from being present. Communication is your greatest tool. If you are in a relationship, consider having an honest conversation with your partner about your insecurities. This vulnerability can be terrifying, but it can also be incredibly freeing and can deepen your connection. For the person listening, respond with empathy and reassurance. Talk openly about what you both enjoy, and explore different ways to experience pleasure together that don't revolve solely around intercourse. Remember, the clitoris is the center of pleasure for most women, and its stimulation is not dependent on penis size. Focus on becoming a skilled, attentive, and creative lover. Ultimately, we all have a role to play in shifting this cultural narrative. Challenge the jokes, question the media you consume. Compliment your friends and partners on qualities that have nothing to do with their physical appearance, their kindness, their humor, their intelligence. Let's work together to create a culture that celebrates all bodies and understands that a person's worth is not measured by a ruler. Confidence is the sexiest trait of all, and it's something you can cultivate. It comes from knowing your value is inherent, and that what you bring to a relationship goes far beyond any single physical attribute.